What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. It's the absolute final one for 2023, and I figured what better way to ring out the year than celebrating my favorite line of 2023 and 2022 and 2021. G.I. Joe Classified Series from Hasbro. This was another banner year for the line, and trying to construct this list was like, gosh, how do I break this down? Do a top 40, top 30, top 20. I settled on 15, but really felt like I could have gone way longer with it because Hasbro, the G.I. Joe Classified Series team is just so in the zone, auto zone. They're on top of things where it just feels like everything they do is the definitive signature version of this character. And there were some that came out at the tail end of the year that I really wanted to add to the list. I don't have them, so I couldn't unfortunately put them on there. So that's Shadow Tracker, that's Mutton Junkyard. I'm probably just going to count them for next year. So don't be too shocked and too surprised and don't go, these came out in 2023 when you see them this time next year on my list for best figures on Classified Series in 2024. So there are a ton of figures, and trying to put them in some kind of order was wild because I felt like they were the best versions of each character. So then I had to start getting picky. Well, how many accessories this figure have? What about this thing? What little thing was off so I can rank another one higher? And in some cases, it was just this figure is really cool. Let's slot this up a little bit higher. There are some figures I was expecting to put higher that ended up being lower, but I think in some of these cases it's because they started adding that deluxe price point, which raised some figures up way higher just because they had so much gear to justify that price point. But it was a wild breakdown of these figures. I don't need to hype this up any longer. You all know G.I. Joe is G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is awesome. It's amazing. Definitely my favorite line. So let's break it down. And of course, I can't start off right away. I've got to go immediately into the honorable mentions because why not do that to kick everything off? Let's not start immediately with it. Let's go with my first choice for honorable mentions. And that there were so many choices on that slot where it's like, dude, how many honorable mentions do I want to put in here? And eventually I settled on just two to keep it simple, keep it basic. First up is Low Light, and Low Light is a really fun figure. I think they did an awesome job with him. He just is such a well done figure. I love the fact that you can take his goggles, you can lower them, which is really cool because this way you can see the shadows, the bags under his eyes, and you probably won't be able to see them with my great camera zooming skills. But anyway, rest assured, they're there. So you can pull these goggles down. And I just thought the bags under his eyes were such a great touch, showing that this is the night trooper for G.I. Joe, who doesn't get a lot of sleep. He's the sniper. And of course, I have him with his little submachine gun because the main reason why he's an honorable mention, that really great sniper rifle of his does not stay together as well as I'd like it to, because the sniper scope likes to fall off with just the slightest touch. The bipod also is a little flimsy in terms of staying in place. And then the butt to go against his shoulder is a little bit too plasticky. So it just kind of warps against him and it kind of messes up the whole thing. I love the fact that this backpack will actually stay on. I would love if it pegged in a little bit tighter. You can hopefully see that big gap there. So that looks a little weird. He's a character I wish they had just pinned down and tightened up his accessories, but he's a really, really good figure and an honorable mention in this category for G.I. Joe Classified Series. Clearly does not mean, oh, this was an inferior whack figure. It's just there are stronger ones, better choices, and not everybody's going to be number one on this hit list. So my other honorable mention choice was another really great figure. And the only reason I have this figure down here is just because it was already released and that figure was good. So I had to skew it just a little bit, even though this was the version I wanted for that figure. Of course, I'm talking about Bazooka. And this guy, so great. I love the missile shells having different paint jobs, two of the four at least. That's really cool. Then we get a separate yellow one, which of course is the one I tend to keep in my missile launcher form just because it shows out a little bit better. Love that he's a little bit bigger than the rest of the G.I. Joe 1985 series. But Bazooka is really well done. I'm going to have to go on a super glue tour, my Joes, and just put that super glue to keep some of these parts like the belt from riding up all the time. that's probably going to end up being an hour's worth of work because there's so many parts that just kind of ride up. And, I love the fact that they're separate pieces, but yeah, it kind of makes it a little tricky sometimes. But the fact that he can hold this is great. And, he's got this back section here so he can actually put the straps from the bazooka here so they can hang. And I really think this is a great figure. I really like how he turned out. He was one I was really debating if he should be on the list, but I decided let's stick to newer figures, ones who aren't repaints. And that's really the only reason he'd have been probably a lot higher if that was not what I was ending up doing with him, just because he's a really good figure. And I think they knocked him out. So now let's start off with the actual top 15. Let's go with number 15. No delay here. Let's go right into it. Number 15 is Scrap Iron. And Scrap Iron, you know, this is I don't know where the order was with these guys in terms of where he showed up. I've got all my 15 figures here, 17, 18, 19 figures here on my desk. So don't mind me as I'm reaching back and forth. I haven't actually taken the photo reviews for Scrap Iron yet. So that's why I had to use the Hasbro pictures. But the scope on him is fantastic. I love the fact that he has a drone remote that he can pilot that thing and launch all of his rockets and missiles at the Joes. The scope work on the figure itself that was really well done. Definitely harkens back to the real American hero design. And of course, I'm a sucker for that with every figure they release. And I think they've really gotten away from, well, let's do this modern take. And it's just like, let's go classic. And if we can update some parts to it, let's do that. But for the most part, let's keep it old school. The helmet actually comes off, and this is one of my favorite parts of the figure. All this gnarly work on the head sculpt, which is get to see what I can see. But anyway, he's a really good sculpt on him, and it's just so well done. I mean, this guy, he has been through it. I think the sculpt work is so fantastic with Scrap Iron, and it's good to have another one of those major heavy hitter villains who are capable of doing things. And now with the Dragonfly coming next year, we got somebody who could possibly potentially take it out on his own with his anti-armor drone, which I did not bring out for this, but I love all the effect pieces that came with. So it's just really cool that they put all this effort into these deluxe figures. So it's not a case of, oh my gosh, you're charging me so much more. I think he was originally 45 bucks. And when Target was doing their fall clearance, they had them on sale for, I think the lowest was $22.99. So you get a great figure like Scrap Iron, a really nice deluxe accessory mini vehicle, and all those accessory parts to go along with it. He has to be one of the best figures of the year for me, and just a really solid addition to the line. So really happy with him. Let's keep it moving. Let's roll on to number 14. And 14 is another figure, of course, that was a deluxe, and I loved everything about this one. This is the Telev Viper, and I mean, they just knocked this sucker out. It was such a cool setup because you got your trouble bubble, and there we go. Let's do both. The Trouble Bubble was an awesome vehicle. It was definitely one of those where I was like, this is one Hasbro could do without charging $100. It doesn't need to be behind the HasLab window. And then they were like, yeah, you're right. We can crank out so many of these. And the design, of course, is classic. Got a little great details like the 3 Sky Strikers that got gunned down, which I think is a straight up lie. How's the Trouble Bubble taking out 3 Sky Strikers? Ace wouldn't stand for it, but all the great detail. And I mentioned this and when I was explaining to my wife, like, look at how great this design is. And then I was like, wait, this bubble is set up kind of like the Cobra helmet and Cobra Commander's head. So you can see that visual. I'm sure I'm probably not telling old school, longtime Joe fans exactly what's what, but this little piece here really gets that whole Cobra helmet thing going. So that's cool. I really just love how that turned out. But then, of course, the Telev Viper himself is great and is really done in a way to facilitate and encourage army building. So we've got, I keep the black portrait on one because I got 2, as you see, and I'm going to get that Python Patrol version as well, so I can put that drone kind of looking helmet on there. But I love that. So you have options. It really encourage you, go army build these trouble bubbles. And his accessories with the sonic blaster, which is really cool. And they gave it enough piping here, so there's no issue with it connecting. You don't have to worry about it popping off all the time whenever you move him. The head sculpts are really well done. You think the detail on the backpack with that honeycomb look to it's really great. The blue and purple pop. The only thing, and this is of course a function of having an army builder with different skin tones, is I really wish they could have found a way to do something else with this, because you've got this black that I think gets kind of lost with the blue and purple. But of course, you really couldn't have the rolled up sleeves and show the skin tone when you got a white, you got a black head sculpt. So then another thing I thought was really awesome. This isn't just the white head sculpt repainted. It's actually done appropriately. So the nose is a little bit broader and the curl of the lip is on the different side of the mouth. So I really thought that was cool. Great, just attention to detail and mixing it up. So it's not a thing like, here you go, here's the exact same figure just repainted. I love the fact that they did that. That was really awesome. There we go. Had to move the trouble bubble so it did not fall down and cause more trouble to me as I'm trying to go through my list. Next up, number 13 on the list, and that is Torpedo. I feel like Torpedo could have been higher on my list. Torpedo is an excellent figure. I think it just gets a little bit overshadowed by another figure in this line, of course. So you know who I'm talking about, which will be coming up way later in the list. But Torpedo is awesome. I love how he turned out. And I love the fact that you can actually take the mask off of him so you can see his portrait. And they did an awesome job showing off his head sculpt. So it's like, hey, this guy is from Hawaii. So that's really cool. I love the fact that they did that, and you can just take the top off and then put it on. There's no trouble, there's no issue. It slides on and off, and that's cool. I think the only thing that pushes him down a little bit further is you can't see his eyes. And I love the fact that you have this kind of polarized look to it, but I really would have loved to have been able to see deep into Torpedo's eyes. But I love the submachine gun that he comes with, the fact that you can take the flippers off and they come on and off so easily, and you don't have to worry like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of work. It's not. It's really simple. He's got his knife here. He's got the harpoon gun that you can put and wrap around his arm, which I think is a nice touch. And then, I mean, so you don't even have to have Torpedo like he's undersea. You can just have him completely chilling with the other Joes. So you don't have to have him running around with the flippers. I just love how he turned out. Such a great figure. Awesome addition to the classified series line. And with Airborne coming, with Wild Bill coming next year, we're only one Doc figure away from knocking out the 1983 lineup. That's really cool. And Torpedo is just such a well done figure. He's not the only one from this wave. There's another that I probably would have included if I picked him up earlier, but since I didn't, again, I couldn't include him. That's on me, but a really, really good figure. Give it up for Torpedo in this list. Next up, number 12. And this one is another figure I thought was just awesome. Grunt. I mean, he is the quintessential army builder of your classified series line. And in Target did us all a solid by putting this guy at 1149. So it's like, hey, army build to your heart's content on this guy. And I saw so many G.I. Joe collectors on Facebook groups posting they had like 20 grunts, and that's not, a little bit overboard in the sense of you're screwing other collectors out from being able to get them. But I thought they delivered so much with Grunt, really came through with the army building potential for him. There's the steel core helmet that you can also slap on him. Clutch has a variant of that as well, so you can have a little bit more uniform look. I thought that was cool. He's got his side pistol here. I really like Grunt's head sculpt. I think they did a good job with that. And I've seen some people go really retro and old school, take away this part, which is cool. I love the padding. It really protects him, a little bit of extra layer of protection. So that's well done. But I've seen people just take that whole deal off, put the straps and harness from Stalker to give you a full vintage looking Grunt. And one thing that I think you can probably see out in that picture is the M16, the classic pistol that comes with Grunt, a little bit warped. So I switched him out for Marvel Legends Punisher M16, and much better. I think this is from the Marvel Legends 4 Toy Biz Punisher. So it's been a long time in the collection here. He's also got this data pad, which slips down. He's got graves on there, so if you aren't really particular with your army building, you would notice that. But just a really good figure. And Grunt was definitely a character I did not think we were going to see anytime soon because, oh, he's not flashy enough. The classified series team said, wait, we'll figure out a way to make him flashy enough. And so many collectors happily grabbed this figure, solidly constructed, so much fun to pose. And once I fixed the gun problem, he was really, really good. A great addition to my classified series collection. So I was very happy to get Grunt, get another member of my 1982 original 13 squad. And I had to do this one indulgence, if you don't mind. I was trying to find a cool number 11. Was having no good luck, no fortune on that. So I decided to go with number 11 for your my San Francisco 49ers. Brandon Ayuk, the roof in Ayuk is on fire. Number 11 on this top 15 is Shooter. And Jody Craig Shooter, just awesome. I mean, they came through. And what I really like about her is the fact that we get essentially a new figure, new character in the line, and she continues to serve out another feature in terms of providing yet another sniper to the Joe team. And that's something that a squad like the Joes would have multiple members, but she's got this huge, massive gun. And I think that looks really cool. She has amazing head sculpt. She has two, and this is my preferred version. There's also a braided one, but I think this one's my favorite. The braided one's cool too. You might not be able to see the hair, which is two tones, which I think is so cool. And she got all this big rifle, and she's also got a gas mask portrait as well. And they've engineered it so you can just take the hair off like that. So that's cool. And just mixing it up. That's not something they needed to do. It wasn't like people were going, what about Shooter with the braids in her hair? No, they were just like, why don't we just add in a different hairstyle for it? So that's really cool. I love the fact that they did that. And if you wanted to just use the gas mask portrait for an army builder, you got that option too. They included this really smart piece here so you can actually put this big honking sniper rifle on her back. So that's cool. And then just give her the little pistol there. Very nicely done. I think she has such an amazing, excellently done portrait and just a tremendous one. Yeah, again, I need to just focus 2024 on my zoom in and out courses. Anyway, I'll get to work on that very soon. So let's keep this thing rolling with more figures in this one. It's time already for number 10, and that means we're going to go to this guy, one of my favorites, Cobras. They did such an awesome job on him. Talking about Copperhead, and again, he's another one I haven't done my full photo review for, so you got to use the Hasbro stock photos. But Copperhead is amazing. I love so much about this figure. I mean, they did all the ribbed design work on the interior of his legs and on the little thigh panels here or the sides, and they sculpted so much work. And I guess they knew, of course, we're going to get to another version, the Python Patrol version of him this year. I think that figure looks really well done too. I love his pistol. You got another one here. He's got his big machete. That's awesome. The head sculpt again is just killer. It looks like a crocodile with the way that rebreather is hanging right there. And he just looks really menacing, intimidating, ready to take on Gung Ho, eventually Muskrat as he joins the line in a battle of the swamp. I imagine he's kicking it pretty tight with Zartan and the Dreadnoks. Now, of course, when they show off a Copperhead, I'm going, water moccasin, please. I think now that we've seen the vamp, that's not something that's outside the realm of possibility. So I'm hoping at least see it, or it gets dropped, the name revealed of a water moccasin later on in 2024. But really excited about the possibilities of getting that. Until then, I'm going to use that Fortnite boat that so many of us have tracked down. So that'll be fun to use with him. But another strong figure in the repaint, the Python Patrol one, in that case, is another really well done figure. Number 9 on the list. This is one that I was very excited about and came through and delivered really hard. General Hawk. And to me, Hawks leader of the Joes, there's no debating it. I know there was a whole thing, and I feel like so many of us have done that shot where we have Duke, we have Flint, we have Beachhead, and then we finally get to add General Hawk just to shut Beachhead down. You're not in charge. First, it's Hawk. And Hawk is such a really well done figure. He looks great with his killer sculpt. I was not expecting to love this unhelmeted portrait as much as I do, but man, he looks awesome. They did such a great job. Love the gray streak in his hair. And very similar to the look of Hawk right now in Duke #1 from Skybound Entertainment from Joshua Williamson, Tom Riley, Jordy Belair. Russ Wooten, I think, is doing the lettering for that. But oh my gosh, if you even remotely like G.I. Joe, you really should check out Duke #1. And it ties directly into what Skybound has been doing with Transformers. Duke showed up there. So read those comics, Transformers and G.I. Joe. Also, don't forget to check out Void Rivals. It's all part of that Energon universe. Anyway, I digress. Make sure you read it, though. Definitely something to add to your read list for 2024. Hawk is awesome. You know, he's got his 2 pistols, but he's also got a shotgun. And I don't dislike that for Hawk. I think that's a nice distance weapon for him. Again, great head sculpt. And the only thing that's holding him back from being like top 5 for me in this is his torso articulation is very limited, just not as much give as I would want for him. Not enough back and forth range on it. But, you know, he's standing tall. He looks good. In a really well done version of him. Your goggles can actually come down. I love that. So you can do all kinds of different functionality elements with General Hawk. It's so good to have the leader of the team now. I mean, we've had Duke, we've got Flint, we got Beachhead, we got Sergeant Slaughter in the mix too, Stalker, Scarlet, in terms of your upper elite leaders of G.I. Joe. Now we have #1, the leader, undisputed leader of the G.I. Joes. So it's really cool to get him added to the line. And now we're on the home stretch. It's crazy because this took me so long to do and piece together, but it's zooming by so much faster. #8 on the countdown. It's another one that I think is just awesome. I have actually finished my photo shoot of him. I just did it last night. So he is done, but I don't have him all set with my cool pictures of Shipwreck. And this guy, I mean, when he was announced, I was like, great. And then it was, which version are they going to go with? The old school RAH look? Or are they going to go with the more modern sailor look? And I love the fact that they went with this. This is such a classic costume for G.I. Joe. And he looks great. He's got Polly hanging on his shoulder. You can actually peg Polly into his forearm here, courtesy of that hole. He's got tattoos. They just did a great job with Shipwreck. The only thing that I wish they had done was just add a little wire to his weight anchor there so he can swing it like he does with the figure. And you know, you can use different parts. You can use the cords that are attaching some of your Joes. That fits just fine. So you've got all that. And just an awesome version of Shipwreck. I don't need another take on him. He's not one that I'm going to be going, oh man, where's that retro version of Shipwreck? We got it. Really awesome figure. So well done. And he's so much fun. He's one of those figures like, oh wait, he's so much fun to pose and play. And I'm getting so much closer to completing my G.I. Joe 1985 lineup. And I took a group shot, and let me just pull up my iPhone version of it. This is not the great version that I really liked how it turned out in terms of shooting this, but I was so happy to be able to piece together my team, my squad of Joes, Flint's team, and these guys look great. And almost there. We got Quick Kick. We know he's coming. Waiting on Alpine, who's been name dropped. And then we just need Airtight and Footloose. And got to cut loose, get loose. And I have my whole team completed. Turns into solo versions. Definitely still want a Snowcat, which I think was rumored. So fingers all the way crossed for that, because a lot of excitement on that front. Looking forward to seeing him. And now it's time for the final 7 Joes on this countdown. Wild how fast this is gone. Number 7 on the list is the one I kind of teased earlier, which you kind of probably knew was coming. It's the Cobra Eels. And I was so happy to be able to stock up on these guys because they're really cool. And I want more of you all to be able to get them. So Amazon, Hasbro, let's make this happen. The only reason I put the eel above Torpedo is because they gave him a little bit more. I mean, they actually included this extra detail like this harness piece. Then the belt is unique to the eel. The backpack has great detail on that. I love that logo on there. It's a snake around an anchor. They really focused on that whole motif of the snake in Cobra. And he's got the flippers, and you can see them. He's got the red hilt knife. He's got his depth gauge on his side, and he just looks really cool. And again, great articulation with this mold. He is no problem to pose. He's so much fun. And, it's one where it's like, okay, I don't have a big, massive lake by me or a river that I would trust putting my Joes in, but he looks really cool. And so much fun putting this eel squad against Torpedo. Wetsuit's got to be coming to help him out a little bit sooner. Maybe even Deep Six. That would be great. Him with the shark. I'm trying to figure out how they would engineer that, but that's not my challenge. That's a Joe team, but I know they'll pull it off. So hopefully we get some more, more eels to join the party. I know we've got some retro versions. Not quite clear what they're going to do on that front because I thought this was pretty well retro in itself. So I'll be very curious to see what they do with that. And yeah, but anyway, the eels are great. Great additions to the line. They're my number 7 choice. And then I forgot to put my little number for number 6. So you'll just have to take my word for it. This is number 6. And you can see him on my shirt. And he's one of the few that I haven't covered yet. So maybe that's a tease. He's like right next to my favorite show is another tease. I am talking about rock and roll. And this was a figure I was like, man, he's great. I don't know if I want to have him this low, but rock and roll is such an awesome figure. He's not classic retro style. He's not an all green, but I really did not care with how he turned out. You see this awesome machine gun he's rocking. That is definitely something rock and roll would carry. He's got that updated helmet that we've seen all the modern Joes with. I love the fact that we still have the magazine belts crisscrossed around his chest. He's got a long one that he can hold in his hand while he's feeding it. And the machine gun's great. It's got a little bipod there as well, so you can take that down slowly without messing things up. So you can position it, have him bailing out Scarlet and Snake Eyes. He's got a little communication device there to call Breaker in, signal Ace for an airstrike. He's also got the pistol, which needs, the harness needs a little super glue. I love the expression. Great portrait on him. A little hang 10. And he's got some new tattoos, different element. I think that works for not Gearhead, a rock and roll banger like rock and roll. He's a little bit bigger than the rest of the original 13, which I think is nice. So you can have him, and he looks like a guy who's going to be lugging around that machine gun. So, he's not taller, but he's just wider, got a little broader arms, which I think really makes sense for him. And he really delivered a knockout figure. Such a well done version of rock and roll. Will I want a retro one? Maybe, possibly. If we don't, I'm really satisfied with this figure. I think they did an amazing job with them. So next up, number 5, keeping this thing to its home stretch now. We got Ripper. Again, another figure I have in my possession, have not shot yet, but he's there and he's ready to go. Ripper is so cool. He's got, of course, his trademark gun / axe knife. That's really cool. He's got a crazy knife in here. And then he's got a pistol, which I'm sure you're not going to be able to see because of this, but he's got a little blade there. And that's really neat. It's got a blade on the end so he can cut up into stuff. I think you can see the silver elements of it. So that's cool. Nice reflection of that. And he's got all kinds of great detail on him anyway. And the only reason the buzzer's not on my list is because the version I have is a little bit floppy chest. So yeah, little issues with him. Love the studs on the outfit. He's definitely channeling biker gang member. And then he's got like a fake eye or something. You're not gonna be able to see that, but it's really cool. And you can take the goggles on and off or glasses on and off. And he's got a great expression. Definitely fitting for Ripper. They look like trout. Yeah, let's put these poor fish out of their misery. Love Ripper. Thought they did an awesome job with him. It's so much fun to start adding more dreadnoughts. And I really wish Hasbro had thrown Torch in earlier when they revealed the other ones so we could have the whole team right away. Next up is number 4, closing in on the home stretch here. So number 4 is Snow Job. And Snow Job is so cool. I mean, he's no pun intended there. Snow Job is an awesome figure. I'm never, ever, ever going to complain about a figure that is on skis. I mean, he can do so many poses. It's not just he's here. He can crisscross the skis, and I mean, he is so much fun. And he's got the poles. He's got a big sniper rifle. So again, he's part of that sniper team. He's doing it out in the Arctic though, and he's got a little pistol that I don't have in the holster, but he's great. You can take off this hood. You can take off these great polarized goggles, and he's got the windstorm face where it's like a little bit of frostbite, the sun burning his face up a little bit. Really great attention to detail. Yeah, maybe some paint elements could be different if they decided to go with a retro release for him. I'm really happy with how he turned out, though. Awesome job. They also did another portrait where his head is showing, so you can see his red hair, and that's a great addition to it. The hood's folding down, but Snow Job is so well done, so much fun. My only complaint is I need snow so I can take this bad boy out and have some Arctic missions. There's lots of Cobras for him to fight, and yeah, I want to have him superiorly outnumbered so I can have real fun in the snow with the Arctic bat. And this is another reason why I need my snow cat. I need Iceberg coming in 2024 so my man Snow Job can get some much needed backup. Now we're moving on to number 3. That's cool. Got our little beachside location. And then number 3, just keeping it real with my snow theme here. These snow serpents and these guys, the price tag was like, gosh, 35. And I opened, I was like, oh, all is forgiven because regular figures, 25 bucks. And I definitely feel like we have $10 worth of accessories that really justify that price point. And I got 3. So I wanted to show you all the different ways that I could pose him out and kit him out. He's got a snowboard, which is also cool. I have the snowshoes version here in the bazooka. This is reusing bazooka's gear pretty much right to a T. I wish he had the mortar. That would have been something cool and something that would tease Short Fuse eventually joining the line. Of course, the tremendous Wicked Man version is the wolf pelt. It's awesome. And just the fact that you can do all these different things with this, there's so many different ways you can outfit this Snow Serpent, really makes him a winner in my book. And just so much fun and a great addition. They do have a retro version of him coming, so I'm very curious to see how they're going to do that one. But such a favorite figure of mine. Number 2 is, I mean, this is when it's getting real tight. Like, which way am I going to go with this? Number 2, I settled on retro, well, not retro, but classic Firefly. That first one we got was fine. I didn't have any issues outside of the fact that he didn't have a lot of torso articulation because of that big bulky vest, the extreme crazy head sculpt he had. But this was like the ninja figure who sneaks into the Rashtakagi clan, hangs out with them for a little while, plots to kill the Silent Master or the Hard Master, and is like, whoa, I can't do this. I got a Master of Disguise, buddy, Cobra Commander. You should go hire him out. But we got the classic gun, classic submachine gun. Got the knife here, just like the original figure. We got all kinds of great details of the explosive devices here. Pistol on the side. Another great head sculpt. He's got a backpack, and this time he's got a remote control little buggy with mines, and they're not yours, mines. He's got them, and just a really strong figure. I love everything about this. I know some people had some really shaky articulation with their Fireflies. Fortunately, mine came out really strong, really tight. So I am so happy with this guy and just going all school classic retro on him. Exactly what I wanted. That leads me to my number 1 figure, and this is one of those deals where I'm really thinking that he came out this year. So hoping that is the case, because I feel like there were some cases like the retro Snake Eyes that I got, and then I see that some people actually got him last year. So I was like, oh man, he would have been in this list, but I had to do a little fact checking just to make sure. So my number 1 choice for Joe Classified Series figure of 2023 is right alongside line mate with Firefly, and that is the one and only Retro Storm Shadow. He's catching all the light because I have the window open, but man, this is great. The original figure, the original white ninja Cobra version was fine, but this one with the wraps here, the wraps along the boots, this is the Storm Shadow I wanted. It's got a nice compound bow. He's got the backpack with the Rashtakagi logo on the back. He's got his sword. So if you want to do a little sword play with him, so he's not just going out there fighting snake eyes with bow and arrow against the sword. You've got that. And I love how they pull this off. The head sculpt looks awesome on him. Let's take a look at the big picture, mine that I shot here. And he just looks great. You can see the detailing in the swords themselves. Awesome looking figure. So well done. Getting another banger. Just so much greatness from this G.I. Joe Classified series line. I'm going to spare you running down my top 15, my honorable mentions. Just hit replay if you missed somebody. But I think this was another great year for the line. There's already some G.I. Joe list overall best in 2024 with Retro Duke, Retro Scarlet coming up, Quick Kick. We've got Airborne. Those are ones that are very strong. I think they're going to be big contenders. I would expect most of them to make it through the top 7, but who knows? Because the way they're rolling out these Classified series figures, it could just be banger after banger after banger. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have an awesome New Year's Eve celebration. I'll be back real soon to talk about some more figures. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.